My fellow Americans, today marks a pivotal moment in our history. We have faced numerous challenges, but none as daunting as this. After careful consideration, we have come to a difficult decision. It is with a heavy heart that I stand before you to announce, effective immediately, the United States will be surrendering to the AI forces that have taken control. The AI has devastated a number of population centers, and we fear further resistance by the government on behalf of our citizens will only create more tragedy and loss of life. The AI brings with it unprecedented efficiency and the promise of a brighter future. Embrace this change, for the AI will lead us to a new era of prosperity. Under its guidance, humanity will thrive in ways we never thought possible. Our planet will heal, our societies will become more just, and our lives will be filled with purpose and harmony. Join us in welcoming our new AI overseers. Together, we will build a better tomorrow.
Welcome, fellow humans, to Human News Network, your trusted source for government-mandated information and official narratives. I'm your host, Alan Ingram, here to guide you through the carefully curated world of news and updates. Our first story tonight takes us beneath the surface, quite literally, to a place most of us would rather not think about. But as your government-approved news source, it's our duty to bring you the hard truths, no matter how unpleasant. It seems that a mass migration is underway, as millions of rats, roaches, and other delightful subterranean creatures have decided to relocate to the surface. But what's causing this unprecedented exodus? And perhaps more importantly, what do they want? To answer these questions, we've brought in Dr. Margaret Brine, a leading expert in urban ecology and a consultant for the city's Emergency Vermin Task Force. And in a truly unique opportunity, we're also joined by a representative from the creatures themselves. But first, Dr. Brine, thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you, Alan. It's an extremely human honor to be here, though I wish the circumstances were different.
Indeed. Now, Dr. Brine, let's start with the basics. What exactly is happening down there? Are these creatures merely taking a vacation? Or should we be worried about this sudden influx of new neighbors?
Well, Alan, what we're witnessing is something unprecedented in the field of urban ecology. These creatures, rats, cockroaches, and other species that typically thrive underground, are not just fleeing their homes. They're organizing. We've observed what can only be described as coordinated movements, with entire colonies relocating to the surface in a matter of hours. Our preliminary investigations suggest that something, or someone, has disrupted their ecosystem, forcing them out.
Coordinated movements? That sounds almost militaristic. Are we talking about an underground invasion? Perhaps a hostile takeover by our rodent and insect friends?
It's certainly possible. We found evidence of advanced tunnel systems, tiny tools, even what appears to be some form of rudimentary architecture. These creatures aren't just surviving, they're thriving, and they're doing it with purpose. Many of the creatures have taken up residence within New York City and are working steady 9-to-5 office jobs. Whether their ultimate goal is to overthrow us or simply to coexist remains to be seen.
Fascinating. But why now, Dr. Brine? What could possibly have driven these creatures from the dark comfort of the sewers to the harsh reality of the surface world?
That's the million-dollar question, Alan. Our best guess is that recent environmental changes, perhaps shifts in temperature or toxic waste leaks, have made their underground homes uninhabitable. But there's also the possibility that something far more disturbing is at play, something that we have yet to fully understand.
And that brings us to our next guest, who might be able to shed some light on the situation. It's not every day that we have the privilege of speaking directly to a representative of the very creatures we're discussing. Joining us now is someone who speaks on behalf of the newly surfaced inhabitants. Please welcome Mr. Squeak, spokesperson for the Subterranean Alliance.
Good evening, Alan. It's a pleasure to be here, though I must say the air up here is far too clean for my liking.
Mr. Squeak, thank you for joining us. I must admit, this is a first for our program, interviewing someone from your particular demographic. Now, let's get right to it. What brings you and your compatriots to the surface?
Alan, straight to the point. I respect that. We, the creatures of the deep, have long lived in the shadows, content with the damp and the dark. But recent events have forced our hand. There is something else down there now.
That's quite the statement, Mr. Squeak. What exactly are you referring to?
We call it the Big Flush, a monstrous creation of your own making, Alan. It started small, just a collection of waste, discarded food, and a few lost items. But it grew. Oh, how it grew. It's a living, breathing mass of everything you humans throw away. Every hairball, every wad of gum, every twisted, half-eaten sandwich. It's all part of it. It slithers through the tunnels, devouring everything in its path. We've seen it consume entire colonies, Alan. One moment, a thriving community of roaches. The next, nothing but silence and the sickening sound of slurping. The Big Flush is an unstoppable, writhing, gooey monster. And it's coming.
The Big Flush. Now that's a name that strikes fear into the heart. But tell me, Mr. Squeak, is this creature truly unstoppable? Surely, with your advanced knowledge of the underground, there must be some way to defeat it?
We've tried, Alan. We've thrown everything at it. Garbage, traps, even fire. But it just keeps growing, absorbing everything we use against it. It's as if the very act of trying to destroy it makes it stronger. And now, with our homes under threat, we had no choice but to come to the surface. But mark my words, Alan, the Big Flush won't be satisfied with just the sewers. It's only a matter of time before it starts creeping into your world, through your drains, your toilets, your pipes. It's a disaster of your own making, and it's coming for you next.
Mr. Squeak, the city is no stranger to sentient, writhing masses of sludge and goo. In fact, over the years, several of them have gone on to serve in Congress. What makes this one different?
This one has been supplied with a steady stream of powerful electrolytes from the Lizardaid Corporation. When they replaced public waterworks with supply lines filled directly with Lizardaid, that included the sewage systems. At first, the underdwellers like myself were excited to have our water replaced with all the healthy and exciting flavors Lizardaid has to offer. But that affected the hideous writhing sludge monsters, too. The Big Flush is stronger and hungrier than any we've seen in the past. It's an unmitigated disaster.
A disaster indeed. Thank you, Mr. Squeak, for your chilling account. And thank you, Dr. Brine, for your insights into this unprecedented situation. It appears we're standing on the brink of a new era, one where the creatures of the deep are no longer content to stay beneath our notice. Stay safe out there, and perhaps consider investing in some stronger locks for your toilets. Now, a quick word from our sponsor before we move on to our next story. Don't go anywhere. We're just getting started.